Welcome to our broadcast, Scale Your Cloud Storage Business with Wasabi, brought to you by Wasabi Technologies. I'm your host, Kenna Johnson from the Channel Company. Today we're going to discuss how MSPs can easily manage multiple cloud storage accounts while keeping customers' data securely separated. I'm joined by Drew Slushel from Wasabi, who will share how MSPs can save time, effort, and money. Drew, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
My pleasure, Kenna. Thanks for having me.
Let's get started with segment 1, Accelerate Your Cloud Storage Business with Wasabi Account Control Manager. What are some of the challenges MSPs face when managing a cloud service offering?
Cloud service providers, managed service providers, certainly always looking for opportunities to grow their revenue, grow their line card. And I think there's some key questions that they've got to answer, right? How quickly can they implement a new service to start generating revenue? How much capital do they need to put out to get this offer spun up? And how easily can the billing data be integrated with their existing accounting systems? I think those are probably some of the top order items that they have to consider, right, when they want to manage a new service offering.
And what are some of the challenges MSPs deal with when managing cloud storage as a service?
How involved do you want to be? In some cases, a lot of folks want to do white glove, right? They want to do everything for the customer, set up the buckets, create all the roles and permissions. But in other cases, right, they just want to give the customer an account that they can manage themselves. There's a full spectrum of management opportunity here. And, also, do you want to delegate control without creating security risks? I think that's key right now because, of course, that's the last thing any MSP or CSP wants to see is their customers, doing things that they shouldn't do. They're there to protect the customer's best interest. So, where do you draw the line in terms of delegating control with respect to security?
And what are some of the challenges MSPs face when managing multiple cloud storage service accounts?
I think that's the challenge in and of itself, right? Keeping track of, hundreds or thousands of accounts. But then it goes even further, and going back to what we just said about security, keeping track of all the different roles and responsibilities and permissions that you have to create for the storage buckets that you're creating for those customers. So, again, it goes back to, how much hands-on do you want to have? In some cases, what we're seeing now is folks really want to provide a storage account for their customers and not necessarily, manage a couple of thousand tickets a month on setting up buckets, setting up roles, setting up applications. The customer wants the control. The MSP wants to give them that control, but within some kind of management framework.
That brings us to segment 2, and we're going to learn about the solution, Wasabi Account Control Manager. What is Wasabi Account Control Manager?
That is a great question, and thank you for asking. So, Account Control Manager is actually a part of our all-encompassing account management toolkit. That toolkit includes the management GUI, a management API, always critical to have an API, a customizable user console, and the option to have white labeled URLs for your endpoints. Specifically for Account Control Manager, that is the key component to provision accounts, to configure the accounts, and to provide billing information. It literally is what it says it is. It is an account control manager, but it is probably, the hammer in the toolbox to get most of the work done. Oh, and before I forget, it also applies to all of our products. It applies to our hot cloud storage offering, to our surveillance cloud offering, as well as our cloud NAS offering. So you can use Account Control Manager to provide these services, cloud storage, surveillance cloud, and cloud NAS to all your customers.
Right across the board.
Yep.
How does Wasabi Account Control Manager cut down time by easily helping MSPs set up accounts?
I believe that we are the only cloud storage service provider in the business today that has this kind of an ecosystem, a turnkey infrastructure as a service, cloud storage as a service offering. Anybody else, you're going to have to invest hundreds, maybe thousands of hours in customizing your own GUI, integrating with the API if there is one, integrating the billing information. We've done all that work already. It literally is a few clicks and you're ready to roll. And to that point, we talked earlier about one of the challenges being, the investment of time and money. With Wasabi, you have practically zero capital outlay. You can sign up for a pay-go account, which has basically a 30-day net term, and you can be up and running and selling cloud storage to your customers, generating revenue before you have any bills to pay. Very, very easy to get going.
Now, I know this next one's going to help out MSPs a lot. How does Wasabi Account Control Manager simplify operations by automating the creation and modification of channel and sub-accounts?
In addition to having that complete ecosystem, it's also a tiered system. So rather than what perhaps we've done in the past, and we've just added some new functionality recently, instead of you as an MSP or a CSP having a storage account and then you delegate buckets to your customers, you now can provision a full account to them. That is called the sub-account. You also have a multi-tier capability. So now we have a middle tier as well. So if perhaps your customer is a multi-tenant organization, let's say a university, I think that's probably one of our best examples. You can provide them with an account. Let's call that the channel account, just for sake of names. They in turn can then provision sub-accounts for each of their departments, each of the research projects. Very simple for them to take all of the capabilities that we're providing to you as an MSP and provide that to your customers. So again, it's how much control do you want to have? How much control do you want to give to your customers? And in many cases, again, universities are a great example. They love this because the MSP takes care of making sure everything is up and running and integrated with all the other services. They can then provision the storage however they see fit.
What are some ways Wasabi Account Control Manager provides visibility in storage accounts, allowing more control?
The visibility is all encompassing. You can see utilization starting at the bucket level, right? That is the lowest level container of which you put objects in. And then, of course, it all rolls up from there. You can see utilization at the sub-account level, at the channel account level, and the control account. The control account is where the contract lives. That is ultimately where everything rolls up and all the billing is managed. So up and down the stack, you've got full visibility.
Why is Wasabi Account Control Manager ideal for MSPs who want to white label Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage?
Again, as far as I know, no other infrastructure as a service provider makes it as easy as Wasabi to brand your cloud storage offering.
Segment 3, Custom Cloud Console. What is Custom Cloud Console?
As part of the account management toolkit, we have a customizable console that your customers can use to access their storage. And the customization allows you to put in your logo, your company colors, your own domain, and there's some additional features, one of which we call region lock. So within that customizable cloud console, we have a feature that allows you to designate which vaults in which parts of the world you want your customers to use and which vaults you don't. So if you have some kind of data sovereignty law where you are, perhaps in your region, your state, your country, because we are global, right? Vaults all over the world, you can actually kind of narrow down your choices. Also, if you decide that there's one vault that performs better than the other because of latency, network traffic, right? Designate that as your primary and don't let people mistakenly put data where they shouldn't.
Drew, what are the customizable capabilities?
They are the logo, they are the color scheme, they are the domain/URL for the console, and they're also the endpoint URLs that they use as part of the API or that they would potentially give out to someone to access data from a bucket that you've made public.
Do MSPs need their own domain to use Custom Cloud Console?
absolutely not. And there are levels, there are degrees to which you can use that customization. You can use just, the logo and colors. You can do the domain customization, but it's up to you at what level you want to customize. And of course, if you don't want to customize at all, we're happy to designate it as powered by Wasabi and leverage the great brand that Wasabi has established in the market.
Drew, finally, where can we learn more?
Go to wasabi.com, hit the drop down for products, and click on the link for Wasabi Account Control Manager. Everything you need to know is right there on the page.
Drew, a lot of great information. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you.
For the Channel Company, I'm Kenna Johnson.